Hello everyone, this is Ava and Tara, and what I'm doing here is lunging with side reins before I ride. I'm still at the phase with Ava where I'm working more on her paying attention to me and listening than I am on the quality of the gaits necessarily. So what I'm doing here with the lunging is I'm asking her to trot and then walk, because once she gets on the lunge line she just wants to start motoring around and around and around and put me on disregard. But I want her to listen to what I'm asking. So I say walk first and then I shake the rein or the lunge line because I want her just to listen and focus in on me, because when I get on her I want to know that she's paying attention to me more than the rest of the world. The other thing I'm looking for when I put the side reins on is that muscle right in front of the saddle. You can see right now it kind of dips down and her neck is kind of scrunched up. What I want is for that muscle to come straight from her withers and her neck to come straight out of the saddle, so that muscle, the trapezius muscle in front of the saddle, lifts up and actually widens instead of having a kind of the U-neck thing that she has right now. So I like to put her on the side reins on the lunge line to kind of sort this out for herself, find the spot in her body, and start moving through. So I'm going to do a couple of canter trot transitions. Again, not to get the bucks out or to do a lot of work at this point, but just to let her move through her body and to get that muscle to start coming out of her neck in a much better way. So you can see right now it's still not where it quite needs to be. She's playing around with getting a little behind the bit, a little bit up. And you can also see that she's got her head turned to the left at the jawline, or with her flexion at the poll. This is just pretty normal in a lot of horses, and for her, her preference is to bend to the left versus the right. I actually have the side reins on her at the same length, and as she warms up, this will get a little bit better and a little bit straighter as she goes. Another big change today is I changed out the bit that she has in her mouth. The one I had was much too long. I finally measured it and it was actually 6 inches. The one I have in there today is 5¼ inches. And her mouth is much, much quieter than it was. We had a talk from Dr. Sandy Grover, an equine dentist, and she showed what can happen when the bit is just too long in the horse's mouth, that it can actually lay down on their tongue pretty far and cause them to play with it and move around a lot. So even if it's not necessarily uncomfortable, it's still just something there for them to play with and wiggle around a lot. This is my husband looking at the ground while I'm changing directions on the horse. You can see it's nice we don't have any snow. And I'm going to get Ava ready to move in the other direction. The left direction is the direction she bends a little bit better to, but then it's also the direction she does tend to fall more on her inside shoulder. So one of the things we want to look for when we get her moving again is to see how she's flexed at the pole, if that changes at all, or if she's still flexing a little bit to the right. And just looking again for how does that trapezius muscle coming out of the top of her neck. The other thing that I also look for is how jiggly the muscle is on her back right behind the saddle, and then also way down through her hindquarters. I want that muscle to start wiggling and bouncing like a bowl full of jelly. So here we are going to the left. And let's take a look at that neck. Still not quite where I want it, but we've just again asked for the canter, and she had a little spook. Our definite canter trot transitions are going to need some work. There, her neck is still up in that U-neck position that I don't really want. So I'm going to send her back and forth through the transitions a couple times. I'm not going to get it perfect, but I want to get a little bit better reach. So there you see her start to put her head down and come a little bit more level out of her shoulders. And especially at a training level horse, that's what I want. And you can see right there she started putting the muscle popped out of her neck. That's the feel that we're looking for as we go. And I'm actually sending her forward a little bit more than she wants to go, because she has a tendency to get a little sucked back and a little bit behind the leg. So this is just something that we're working on a little bit on the ground before I get on to ride her. And I'm getting pretty happy with where she is right now. So I'm going to be ready to get on her in just a moment now. She came back to the walk, and she halted. I want her to keep walking. She doesn't really understand the walk on a lunge line. She thinks she either needs to be motoring around or stopping. And it's just a little bit extra step of attention that I want her to pay while I'm working with her. Because then she starts walking, and then she puts me on disregard for stopping.